Welcome to All Things Mental,
a podcast that honors the messy, beautiful, nonlinear journey of healing. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken.
It's about discovering what you need in this moment and learning to trust yourself along the way.
Here, we share stories, resources, and reminders that you're never alone on your path.
So take a breath, lean in, and remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version of your higher self. We're your co-hosts, Michele
and Liana,
here to remind you that
you're never alone
on your healing journey. Hello, and welcome to All Things Mental. This episode is called All Things Giving Yourself Grace. So essentially what that means, we've discussed grace before on our podcast. So we're both going to explain what giving ourselves grace means, and then we're just going to have an open conversation like we always do. So for me personally, giving myself grace is just reminding myself that I am human and that the to-do list will get done, even if it takes longer than I was predicting in my head. That's what giving myself grace means to me personally. What about you, Liana? What does it mean for you?
Yes, good explanation. I really appreciate that because I couldn't agree more. Honestly, like giving myself grace to me means that I expected myself to show up in a certain way, and yet I fell short in some capacity. So even me just stumbling on my words right now, like that's just acknowledging that I'm giving myself grace in the moment, because like it's okay to be human, like you just said, and it's okay to not be perfect. And that's something that as a former perfectionist, both of us here, we can relate to the fact that like it's hard, right? Like to be not perfect and then realize that we're human, but like it's a growing practice every day, and we're giving ourselves grace throughout.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you mentioned the whole perfectionism thing, I was like, yeah, that speaks volumes to me. And I think it'll also speak volumes to many of our listeners, because I remember a time where everything had to be perfect. Everything had to be a certain way. And I grew up in a household where that was essentially the mindset of my parents. And even over the years, I've seen them kind of get a little bit more relaxed in that area. But for me personally, we we picked our podcast topic earlier today, which we do often. It's not like we don't plan, just that we want to be authentic and live in the moment. And I wasn't really giving myself grace this morning. And I was like, and Liana had messaged me going, hey, what do you want to talk about on the podcast? I'm like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And then I had this moment where I was like, I'm not giving myself grace. Wait, we could talk about all things grace on the podcast, and that's what we're doing. But for me, I've talked about my career before, but I'm now on my summer break. So I have the next 2 months off, which is really nice. It'll be a really good time for me to like focus on myself, do some self-care, get myself back into habits, for instance, working out, and a whole bunch of other things. So today was my first day officially on summer break, and I like was being too hard on myself. I was like, I want to wake up. I want to go to the bathroom. I want to do my stretches in bed. I want to go for a walk after I have breakfast, and then I want to come home and I want to work out. And on any other day this summer, that'll probably work. But I had something at 12 o'clock and was like really frustrated that I didn't go for my walk. And I was like, I'll go for the walk. I'll work out after. And I was getting frustrated with myself. And then I took a moment and I stepped back and was just like, Michele, calm down. It is not that big of a deal. You are the one that came up with the schedule in your head. You can change the schedule. So I decided to do a hypnosis reset, and I did that. That really helped. And then after I regulated my nervous system, I was like, I want to work out. I want to get that out of the way, because I enjoy going for walks. And not that I don't enjoy strength, but like we walk every day when we're walking into the room to get the laundry, or we're walking to go to our car to go to our destination. We're always walking. So I enjoy doing that. I also enjoy doing it with intention. So I was like, I want to get the one that I'm not really looking forward to out of the way. So I got that out of the way. And I did, for the first time in over a month, I did a strength workout. And for the first time in several months, I lifted more than just 3 pounds. I think I lifted like the most 14.5 pounds today. And that's not even the heaviest I've ever lifted. But my goal this summer is to focus on strength and just, get myself back into that habit, because I do know how important. We talked about this in our all things body episode, and I think a couple other episodes, where like strength is so important for when us as women. And I'm just really, really grateful that I'm back to doing it consistently. So that's what inspired this. That was what my morning was like. And that's now why we're talking about it right now on our podcast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful story. Really, truly, because it's so powerful to just acknowledge that we are human and that we can come back to our heart space and our routines and everything that makes sense to us, listen to our body like we talk about often. And I know for me, like giving myself grace in my new ADHD diagnosis, like that has been something that I'm noticing more, because like I've so far in my healing journey, I've accomplished the anxiety and the depression. Like I say accomplished just in the terms of like getting through it to the most part, where it doesn't really bog me down as much as it used to, and really paralyze me.
Yeah.
And now the the grace that I'm giving myself is in terms of my like ADHD, where I'm noticing my focus and my attention and my energy and things like that. Like I started my medication. I'm on the now regular start, well, the official dose of Vyvanse, where they say 30 milligrams. Like it's taken me now 2 months of taking the 10 for 1 month and the 20 for the second month. And now that I'm in the third month of the 30, and it's a chewable tablet, tastes kind of fruity. I kind of like it. So it's kind of
Oh my
nice.
goodness. I love that. I don't like having to swallow pills unless I absolutely have to. I'd rather hold my nose and do the liquid one, because if
Yeah.
you hold your nose, you don't taste the flavor.
Right. Right. Yeah, this I don't mind, because I have that first in the morning when I step out of bed. That's like part of my routine and my wake up, is that I acknowledge that I'm awake. I'm on my phone for maybe a little bit. If my alarm goes off and I'm in a different stage of sleep, like I wake up a little groggy or whatever. But then
Yeah.
eventually within like 20 minutes to a half hour or so, I'm out of bed. And then I stand up and I get my glasses out of my drawer and I get my medication in my little cute purple glass little like box thing that
I
my mom
love
got
that.
me.
I love it when we romanticize little things in our life. There's these twins that I follow online that do that with like all of their stuff. And they inspire me to do it more in my daily life. And yeah.
Yeah, it's true, because like something like medication I take every day as a way to feel better, and it's my choice in terms of how I want to see the world and what has given my life worth living again, like all of that. That's been really important to me. So like now that I've added the ADHD medicine, I take it, and then within like an hour or so, I'm awake, I'm ready for the day. Like I can be productive and live according to my chronotype, where I'm a late morning type now, and like I'm productive before noon. By the time noon rolls around, like yeah, there's sometimes an afternoon slump, but I need like a little bit of a snack after lunch. Like that's totally okay. But then I move forward, and I'm not as groggy throughout the day anymore, which is so incredible, like to have more energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You had mentioned earlier like about like routines and all of that, and on our previous episode, All Things Weird Mood, um, I just like I'm not in a weird mood anymore, but like I'm now at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not working right now, and I have the time to kind of like do like a full reset and like make sure my morning routine is down, make sure my evening routine is down, and all of that. But routines, as we discussed in our All Things Routine episode, like forever ago, um, routines can change. And so, like, I have a summer routine for the morning. I have a evening routine for the morning. I have an evening routine for summer and I have a morning routine for summer. That's what I'm trying to say. Words are hard. Giving myself grace as we record. And so like for me personally, like this is just the time for me just to like I mentioned, like kind of like a self-care reset and like just embracing giving myself grace because like every day can be and probably will be different. Like my goals this summer for this break is to wake up, eat within the first hour, do my workout right away. Well, not right away, but like, you know, in the morning. Whereas like if I were working, I would not be able to do that. And then go for a walk as well. But as most of our listeners know, I live in Florida. It's hot. Okay. So I'm giving myself grace as well. Like I made a decision earlier today when I stepped outside to go for my second walk. It was rainy and I like had this moment where like, I'm going to go back inside. I'm like, no, it's going to rain a lot this summer. You're going to get used to it. It's just water. And I went for a walk and guess what? 2 or 3 minutes later, it stopped because it's Florida and that's what Florida does. It rains for like 5 minutes and then it stops. And then it rains 20 minutes later for 3 minutes and then it stops. It's so glorious. So I'm embracing that. And also, who doesn't love to dance in the rain? So go for a walk in the rain as well. So,
Yeah, I think that's really great. It's a wonderful practice to give yourself grace. And I think, in terms of how I've been feeling with work and things and my tasks lately, like I have been giving myself, like, again with the ADHD, like just acknowledging that like certain tasks are used to be like pre-medication, like used to be a lot harder to initiate, and I would be like, oh my God. But now I'm like, I can tackle this, I can do it, I have a method. And it's also come with more experience, right? Like as time goes by, I've learned more about my role and everything and how I'm able to just like keep moving forward in a
yeah.
beautiful way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you had mentioned earlier also your chronotype and how you're like a night person or whatever it specifically it's called.
I'm a late morning type, but that
Mhm.
means that I like to go to bed relatively early, but not super extremely early. And then that means I wake up like my ideal bedtime for me is 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. It recommends like 11 p.m. to or 11:30 to 7:30, but like I prefer to go to bed even earlier than that. Like by 10 o'clock, I'm like out. And hopefully by 7 I'm awake usually. And that's just how I naturally exist. And it's even on the weekends, like they Aura Ring recommends that like you stick to like within an hour sleep window on the weekends as well, or just every day as possible, because then that helps you like just live in accordance with your natural circadian rhythms, your digestion, your hormone balances and things like that. Like it all helps.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, for instance, like in the summer, I change when I wake up by a matter of 2 hours. I usually wake up at 7 and now I'm waking up at 9. But like right now, I joke that I'm in my hibernation week. So I'm not setting an alarm, but I'm waking up between like 8:45 and 9 o'clock. So I know eventually, and I'm getting up and starting my day. And I'm still going to bed at a decent time because I remember when I didn't used to do that on summer break, and I would be like struggling when it came time to go back to work. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's just like I'm gonna still stay on my normal schedule. I'm going to give myself grace and maybe sleep in an extra hour or two. But like if my alarm is set for 9 and I wake up at 8:30 and I'm ready to go, I'll wake up. So like my biggest concern there is when I'm taking my temperature, like I'm half tempted just to make it 8 o'clock. That way, like I'm still taking my temperature at the same exact time because at the moment I only have a temp drop and I have like my regular thermometer. I
Mm-hmm.
will probably eventually get a ring, but who knows? But I also need to remind myself that it's okay. Like right now, I'm doing a challenge. I mentioned this in our previous episode with Vicky. It literally started today. That was what I had to be at noon, with a fiber challenge. So essentially, what it is, it's teaching women how to eat specific things that'll help them, like, uh, basically, it'll help you like get the nutrients that you need in order to balance your hormones, get pregnant if you want to get pregnant, and just like be or prepare your body to eventually get pregnant. So I'm mainly doing it because my nutrition hasn't been great lately, and I think that it would be like a good challenge to do. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing it, but um I'm looking forward to it because so far, like the challenge this week and for the next 3 weeks is to see how many different plants you can eat, and spices are included. And we're on the first day of the challenge, and I'm already up to like 10 without even trying. And her goal is by the end of the program, end of the challenge, that we will all have 30 different types of fruits and vegetables and spices at the end of the week, in the course of a week, not in the course of a day, in the course of a week. And like she said, that the main thing that our bodies need is variety, not just like, you know, oh, I'm going to have spinach every day. No, you need to mix it up. Your body needs all the things. That way your gut health is supported and all that. So I'm giving
Wow.
myself grace for the challenge as well.
Wow. That's beautiful, really. I'm amazed because like I definitely listen to my body in terms of like what it craves. Like most of the time I crave chocolate, salt, and carbs, and that's
Yeah.
really or like salad sometimes. Or broccoli, but like do I eat those things on a regular basis? No. I enjoy them when I get the chance to eat them. But I also acknowledge okay. So I had a friend over last week, and she's a person that's near and dear to my heart. And we were having lunch with my husband, and she and we were talking about how like I just don't have the mental capacity anymore at this point in my life, and I've accepted it, that I just don't enjoy cooking, and it's not something that I like. And I love when people cook for me, and I enjoy like going out to eat or buying food or something or getting a delivery, but most of the time like I just go down and get something from like a food place or whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm at, and I eat that because like I saw this quote and I don't know if I'll be able to find it ever again, but it stuck it stuck with me, and I can't remember exactly the words, but the essence of what I'm about to share is this: our society currently as it stands is not built to have both men and women partner, or both partners, I guess, in this example, both partners working and doing all of the home care and labor and things like that to care for your home. Like it's just not realistic. And I have embraced that as my truth because for me, I work full time. My husband works as a contractor, and he's kind of part-time, but also he has like more chronic health issues and things like that. So like I don't expect him to have the same energy output as me. Like we've talked about this on our all things love me, validate me, and tell me I'm pretty episode, like like everything about like equal partnership and things like that. Like
Yeah.
we are bars of energy are way different, like in terms of capacity, but like his 100 and my 100 are just not the same. And it's okay. Like they're getting there. Like he's on different medication now and he's doing a lot more around the house. And it's like been an absolutely incredible to see that shift in our marriage and everything. But like in general, our ability, especially me as a woman, like in this relationship, like I cannot be the homemaker and the financial bearer.
Okay. First of all, preach it. Second of all, I was listening. Do you listen to the podcast Call Her Daddy?
I've heard of it, but I
It's
have not
really
listened to it.
good. So I am currently listening, not at this exact moment, obviously, to an episode that has Michelle Obama on it. It's a 2 hour long episode. I'm going to have to send it to you, and we're going to put it in the show notes because they're talking about how impactful women can be on society and how women can have it all. You might actually be able to have it all at different points in your life. So like I listened to like the first like probably 55 minutes, and then I started like scrolling on my phone and this and that. And then my attention got caught by something that Michelle Obama said. And I was just like, I want to rewind. So I rewound and I tried, still happened. So I was like, okay, we're going to stop listening today and we're going to finish this again on another day. Like I literally like was listening to it while I was building my Lego set. But it's such an impactful conversation. And we'll share it in the show notes. But something that Michelle Obama mentioned in this episode was how women need to give themselves more grace. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so crazy that we're about to record an episode called All Things Grace. And I'm hearing this right now from this woman.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so, oh my gosh, amazing. I love that because like there's a video and maybe I bet I can find this one because I know I've saved it to my phone. So I'll be able to find the link. It's a TikTok of a video that Mary actually put in her podcast episode. And I had to search it and I found it. And it's this woman talking about like the equal emotional load that women carry and how she doesn't believe that any successful man that's on the podium, like she doesn't believe anything he says because it's not really applicable to women. And it's kind of a really hot take because it's like, well, are we never supposed to listen to men? But the truth is that women, we give so much to our male counterparts that like they, oh my gosh, they benefit so strongly because like she was saying like, oh, this guy was able to build so much success because he had a woman behind him taking care of the kids, taking care of the home, so he didn't have to worry about any of that. And I
Yeah.
was just like, yep, there needs to be way more grace given to women because we do so much.
Oh yeah, like
And
they also like and it doesn't matter where you stand politically because like in the episode they even talk about how like she like was a lawyer at a law firm and that's how she met Brock. Okay.
mhm.
And they mention how like when he became president, she had all these ideas of things she wanted to accomplish and all the press cared about was what she was wearing. So she wrote a couple books. The book that she talks about on the podcast is basically, I don't remember the title of the book, but I'll put it in the show notes. But essentially, like she's talking about fashion, but it's on a much, much, much deeper level. Like that's like just like, you know, the sprinkles on top. It's really, it really gets into the nit and gritty of other things. I never actually read the book myself, but I'm also kind of inspired by this episode to read the book or listen to the book because I prefer audiobooks. Um, but yeah, like it was so impactful. And when she said that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy because we're literally about to record a podcast episode where we're talking about grace and how we need to give ourselves more of it. And the fact that, you know, one of the first ladies said, hey, women need to be giving themselves more grace. I was just like, this is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more because we do so much for our society that goes unnoticed, that goes unpaid for, that goes uncared for, unacknowledged. And we have to just also accept that this is our lifetime and this is a fight that, yes, will take decades, if not centuries, past our lifetime to unravel, you know, the
Mhm.
patriarchy and things like that. So if we want to go back to a matriarchal society, you know, that's going to be really hard, but I do believe it's possible in the future if there is much more time on this planet as humans, we'll see. Obviously, I won't know, but not in my lifetime.
It
Hopefully, I
reminds
guess.
me of this song from the movie, my favorite Disney movie of all time, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's called Someday. And it's basically like I don't want to like butcher the lyrics, but essentially the gist of the song is how they hope to someday live in a world where everybody is treated equally and loved equally and all of that. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes as well because it's such a powerful, impactful song. Like I remember a couple weeks ago, someone asked me, "What's your favorite song, Disney song ever? If you had to pick one song to listen to for 24 hours, what song would you pick?" And I was like, I would pick Someday from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I played it for them and like really just listened to lyrics. And they kind of got it, but kind of didn't get it. And that's okay. But it's such an impactful and powerful song. Like I said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast, but music has such a powerful impact on the world, like art in general, whether it's a painting, a movie, a short film, a TV show, whatever, it has such a powerful impact on the world.
Totally. Yes.
And I guarantee all of those artists gave themselves grace.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because the songwriting process is really challenging. I've only been successful at rewriting existing songs and changing the lyrics through my life, and
I've done that.
also doing like a hybrid. I did a curated trilogy on the ukulele one time, but I also realized that like songwriting was not for me because it was just so hard to actually accomplish and write, especially because I couldn't really play instruments. Like I learned the piano, I learned the violin, I learned the clarinet, and I learned some instruments through time. But in general, I never really mastered an instrument or like could really like use all my create like I was so happy to emulate a song that was already existing. Like
I've done that before. Like I've done like songs for my husband for like Valentine's Day where I've like changed the lyrics or something like that. One that comes to mind, I don't remember the name of it, but Taylor Swift wrote it, but it was about like how like it's a song about like walking through a shop, they see an old photo and it reminds them of like a simpler time and they're talking about like a love story. And I changed a couple of those lyrics. I've also done it with a song that um like it's like Bible by the bed calls his mother kind of thing, and I changed Bible by the bed to tarot cards by the bed because that just made more sense for me and him. And like I've done things like that. Like I have written lyrics before and I've been able to like kind of like sing it into the melody that I want, but I don't know how to actually like write music. The gentleman that actually writes the song that plays at the beginning of our podcast and the end of our podcast, I know him personally and he's freaking fantastic. And he said to me, if you, Michelle, if you ever want to write a song and you have lyrics, let's get together and do a session. I'm like, are you kidding? He's like, no, I'm being serious. We can totally do that. And I was like, okay. So I might honestly take him up for it on at some point this summer.
very nice. Yeah, you
And give
deserve.
myself grace during the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, I that's something that ooh, that's a good point that you just brought up because like something that I struggle to give myself grace with is learning something new. That is something that I acknowledge. I read this book, oh gosh, I'd have to find it. I couldn't even tell you the author's name right now, but I remember the quote. I remember either
You're really good at
the
remembering quotes, and I am too, but then we always forget the source because, like, these two songs are bothering me and they're going in the show notes, like the one by Taylor Swift and the other one, but I don't even remember what the other one is. Like, I don't even remember the artist, but thankfully, I remember the lyrics, so I can go based off of that.
Yeah, yeah. No, totally. It's a book that I read a couple summers ago. Um, and it was something about like the quote being everything is difficult until it becomes familiar. And I was like, interesting. So that's something that I like take forward with me. Like if I'm learning a new board game, if I'm learning a new skill, if I'm starting a new job, like and getting the tasks through, like that's something that I have been working very much in my healing journey about giving myself grace and eliminating the perfectionist tendencies and just moving on because
Oh,
like
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like I've always been into music and I've always loved singing. And the fact that you can also sing makes me want us to do some singing TikToks when you're here in a couple of weeks. Like I think that would be fun. But to get to the point that I'm trying to make, I always wanted to learn how to play piano. And as we all know from the episode All Things Love Me, Validate Me, and Tell Me I'm Pretty, my husband's a very good listener and he bought me a keyboard like 2 Christmases ago. And then our friend suggested I get myself a music theory book and teach myself music. I, for the life of me, cannot find the music theory book, and it's driving me bananas. But I want to like teach myself how to play. And my husband keeps saying, well, why don't you just go on YouTube? You can teach yourself a song. Okay, great. But I also want to teach myself music, like the actual art of playing piano. That way I can then maybe write my own songs and then the song that I write with the friend that wrote the music for our podcast, like he could play guitar and I could play piano and we could record something. Um, like that's just me, like, talking about, like, I've always had a dream of like recording a song. I think I mentioned this on a previous episode. That's something that I still want to do to this day is I want to record professionally the song "You Light Up My Life" because it's something that my grandma asked me to do, like on her deathbed, and I want to honor that for her. And like I hope to do that someday, and it just seems like that might be possible sooner rather than later. But you had also mentioned earlier about cooking and how you don't really like cooking, and it's ironic because for me personally, it's not that I don't like cooking, it's that my husband's a chef, my roommate that's about to move in is an ex-chef, but you're never really like an ex-chef. She still cooks at home. Our roommate that no longer lives here wasn't a chef, but taught me a lot of different things. So like I'm feeling inspired this summer. Like one of the things I want to do is I want to cook a meal a week for me and my husband because I cooked for him the other night and I like made him appetizers. I poured him a glass of wine, like to the point that he like jokingly said to me, "So what did you do?" I'm like, "I didn't do anything." He goes, "Okay, but if you really think about it, in any other relationship that's not ours or not a healthy relationship, that's what the partner would be thinking." So I'm joking more than anything else. I was like, I was just in the mood to cook. And I felt like if I get into the habit of cooking for you, in turn, I'm gonna also cook enough food for myself. So like he gets off work a lot now, like around like 7:30. So I want to get into the habit of cooking food for us. Tonight, I didn't really wasn't inspired. Last night I made salmon with pumpkin and 5 spices mixed together on top of it. And then I sprinkled on top brown sugar. I made like these like mushrooms with like already pre-stuffed with like spinach and artichoke and cheese. And that was like our appetizer because the spinach wasn't going to be ready because I needed him to pick something up at the store. Not the spinach, the salmon wasn't going to be ready because I needed him to pick something up at the store. But like I enjoyed it. And I didn't even like follow like a recipe. I kind of was just like, let's measure with love. This is how much pumpkin I want. This is how much brown sugar I want, and what have you.
Oh, that sounds so nice. Yeah, I mean, when I like come down to it, like sometimes like I'll cook something like with my husband, but even he does most of it because he's better at following instructions than I am, or like the ingredient lists and things like that. Like, but I just
Our
yeah,
husbands should
I
not
reserve
cook
my
together.
mental what?
I said our husbands should not cook together because if your husband's following a recipe, like while his back is turned, my husband would be adding some spice. Like I can just see that happening. That would be hysterical.
Uh
Mm.
yeah, we'll see what happens when we're
You
all
visit, and
together.
you're visiting this month. It's already June.
I know, it really is. It's so exciting. Yeah, by the time this episode airs, we'll have already been together most likely, or close to it,
No,
right? I
no.
believe.
This episode will premiere 2 days before you arrive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like
So,
the next one we record will be like after we've hung out.
okay, sounds good. I can't wait to do a recap of
I
our
know we totally have to do a
Jerry's
recap
vacation.
episode. We'll call it
Yes.
like All Things Florida or something like that. I don't know.
Or just like all things togetherness, we could talk
Yeah.
about anything. Like that's just the best part about us and our friendship is that we constantly give each other grace with everything because we full transparency in terms of like the behind the scenes with this podcast is that I unfortunately, as of today, my internet is not really working well. So, like, Michele was recording, but like, I typically do the recording and then I save the file in my Google Drive, and then it goes I download that and I put that into our feed of, Clipchamp or timeline I should say, and then I put the intro and the outro, I clip the beginning and the end, and if there's anything we need to cut throughout the middle, like I do that
There's gonna
editing.
be a lot in this episode that's gonna need to be
I
cut.
know. I have my
Like,
work cut out for me this episode, but we'll see what happens. But
not that we
nevertheless,
made mistakes, but because the internet was being pretty.
yeah, internet unfortunately was the problem. But yeah, Michele does our social media editing, and she does the captioning for the episodes. So I think that's super incredible because like that, like I feel like we split our work very evenly in terms
Oh
of
yeah,
like level of
absolutely.
effort and skill.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and the only time that like the description is done differently is when we have a guest, because there's just so much that we just kind of like simplify into like a couple bullet points. And when we have a guest on, Leanna does the description for that as well.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
Not that you
So,
guys need to know that, but we're fully transparent on here.
no, of course.
And this is totally like an idea of like giving yourself grace, because I literally said to Leanna, like, because this is our second time hitting record, that, well, the universe is messing with us right now, and the universe, as we mentioned before, has a sense of humor. And there have been a couple of times where like I've been like repeating the word, so that when Leanna gets back, I'm like, this is the word you were on, so that way Leanna can remember and keep going with the
I
conversation.
know. Oh my gosh. I know. And yeah, I mean, I finished the episodes on Spotify and then they dispersed from the RSS feed out to the others. Michelle puts them on YouTube and then we just keep going, and that's just how we do our process. And honestly, when we're both not feeling it on certain weeks or certain days of when we were going to do like an admin situation, like we tell each other, we let each other know, and it's just like the most easy flowing process. Like throwback to when I had a solo podcast several years ago at this point. It has since been deleted, and it's good because that chapter has closed in my life. It served its purpose and it's fine. I loved I literally like started and ended at a perfect time, and like it was fine. But ultimately, like my my content back then, it was so draining because like I was doing all of it by myself, and now having like somebody to talk it through with like is the ultimate practice of giving myself grace.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I remember when I first had the idea, I was like, I want to do a podcast. I want to call it All Things Mental. That sounds like a lot of work. And so I was like, I gave up on it for a couple of years, and then I programmed it into my subconscious with Chelsea in 2025, or I don't know, at some point. And then I was listening to another podcast, which we discussed before on this, where I was like, like, and the girl was like, I'm a responder. I'm like, I'm a responder. And I was like, Leanna used to have a podcast. We're friends. I'll ask her what's the worst that could happen. And thus, All Things Mental came to be. And like, it's so crazy because that's the name I originally wanted. And full transparency, I said to Leanna, like, do you like it? Do you want to change it? Like, you're part of this project. And she's like, no, it's so simple and to the point. And I love the fact that we've been keeping all of our episodes, all things, and then whatever our topic is. That was like, I think that was your idea. And I just loved it and was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we have a system,
Yeah.
and throughout it all, we give ourselves grace. Like, I'm not, full transparency, I have a slight headache. So I'm like giving myself grace there. Like, I tried it with my hair up, with my hair down. Like, it's not going away. And I've been drinking my water. I'm mainly saying that to my husband, who's in the living room right now. So that way he's not like drinking your water. Because ironically, he walked in right around when you said that you don't like cooking, and he went like this. And I was laughing, but not at you, at him being ridiculous. So it's really funny to mention the episode that he was in twice so far on this episode. Now 3.
Aw, that's so fun. Hi. But yeah, I know. I mean, it's an interesting journey of life, right? Like the more we try to fight who we are and the less we have acceptance of our flaws, of our shortcomings, of our, healing journey, the less that we accept all of it, and that this journey isn't linear, as we always say, the harder life becomes. And I try to live in a flow state always. I try to live with the flow, going with whatever comes up. Like I have my routines, I have my schedule, and I like my things at a certain way. But ultimately, I come back to this concept of like it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And
Which
it's
we talked about on our previous episode, and we'll continue mentioning it. Like, live a life worth living, have courage, be kind. But at the end of the day, you need to give yourself grace, because if you're not giving yourself grace, you're being too hard on yourself. And there are plenty of people in this world that are being too hard on you already. Why be hard on yourself?
ooh, that is so strong. Wow. I love that. Ooh, very good. Michele, is there anything else you want to add in terms of giving yourself grace?
I just hope that this episode resonated with our listeners and that we did not bore you with our admin talk. But hey, full transparency, like we're having tech issues tonight.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a night where we usually record. We usually record on Wednesdays, but Liana asked me, hey, can we record on Monday? I have a work event. And I'm like, that's fine. And not to mention, also, like, I'm on break and was like, we can record whenever. So, yeah.
That works out. Perfect. Sounds, yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I truly hope that this resonated with our listeners as well and just inspires everybody to give themselves grace and to give others in their life grace as well.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
the more we
absolutely.
can give ourselves grace and give others grace, the better society is. Because that's
Exactly.
just human.
And if you have a friend that isn't giving themselves grace and you're that friend that's giving them the grace, send in this episode. Like I had a friend the other day. No, not even the other day, literally earlier today. She was like, I'm going to listen. I haven't listened to your podcast yet. I'm going to start listening to it tomorrow on my way to work. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I was actually talking to her on my walk. And we were talking about how like we're giving ourselves grace right now because she hasn't been consistent with working out either. And I told her, yeah, this is my plan. And I'm going to give myself grace and just see what happens. Because I do want to build that habit of doing strength more consistently than anything else. Because my husband suggested doing strength first and then doing HIIT or Pilates right after, which sounds great, fine and dandy for the summer, but I don't know if he'll be able to keep that up come fall. So my plan is to just see what happens and give myself grace along the way, which is all we can ever ask of ourselves and of each other.
Very good. Amazing.
So with that being said, we hope you enjoyed this episode and stay tuned for the next one. Bye for now.
Yes. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of All Things Mental.
Please follow us on social media at All Things Mental Podcast to let us know how this episode helped you on your healing journey.
Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss an episode.
And remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version
of your higher self.